Hello, we are back in a brand spanking new year to talk about a 20-plus-year-old game, Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. In the past on this channel we've looked at the more obscure Lord of the Rings games, with Fellowship and the Third Age. Now we are here to look at the big one. EA's Lord of the Rings games were a huge success back then, and I remember playing them a boatload. The Fellowship game had its unique look and feel, with it mainly being based on the books, but EA's Two Towers was my first Lord of the Rings game, and being a part of those iconic moments from the movies was a wonderful experience. So let's take a trip back to Middle-earth and see how things hold up.
Kill them all!
We start the game at the foot of Mount Doom, with the game's prologue allowing us to take part in the battle against Sauron as Isildur. The game mixes movie footage with in-game cinematics, seamlessly switching between the two when needed. The prologue gives us our first experience with combat and access to the game's tutorial. Combat in the game is pretty simple. You have a light attack and a heavy attack. Each attack has its uses. Light attacks are fast and good for unshielded enemies, while the heavy attack will break the opponent's shield, opening them up to an attack. You also have a parry, but it isn't really a parry. It's more of a manual block that you have to spam to keep your guard up. There's no timing required for this, just spam away. From here you fight a couple of waves of enemies, with the game's visuals already making an impression. The battles in the Two Towers really do give you the feeling that you're part of a larger battle. The flavorful area you get in the prologue, and the game in general, is very small, but with all the background characters and the 2D sprites further in the distance, it does give you the feeling you're part of something larger. You're in the level with a cutscene switching to a movie transition, ending the prologue, with some more movie scenes setting up the rest of the story for the rest of the game. From here on out, the game's narrative is framed as a flashback told by Aragorn after his tumble off the cliff near Helms Deep. To be honest, I have no idea why they added this, it wasn't really necessary. After waging war at the foot of Mount Doom, we are thrown into a smaller scale battle playing as Aragorn, fighting against the Nazgul to protect Frodo in a very short sequence. This acts as a little extra tutorial, giving you an objective to do, as well as a bit more to think mechanically, as you need to keep the fire lit to keep the Nazgul at bay.
We shall find you.
From here the game opens up a bit in terms of who you want to play. Two Towers gives you three characters to play as: Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. Each of them controls pretty much the same and can be leveled up to unlock a set of combos to help them in battle. My main character always tends to be Aragorn. Moria is the first location of the game and lets you play around with all the different characters. It's split into two parts here: the Gates of Moria and the Tomb of Balin. There's not a whole lot to Moria here. You don't even see the Balrog. You have a misty walk up the mountainside to get to the gates, finishing off with a boss against Mr. Tentacle, which is a fun enough fight. The start of the trend in this game with super simple boss fights. You just need to parry his tentacles, watch them flail, chop them off, and then shoot him in the head when he pokes up to see what evildoer has just hit his tentacle with a sword. The walk up is super atmospheric, with the snow falling and the mist revealing old ruins. In the Tomb of Balin you're holding out against swarms of goblins, finishing off with a boss fight against the troll, which you can only attack with arrows. The boss fight does go through a couple of stages, so you're at least not just spamming arrows at him with nothing to do. You do move to different areas and have to dodge more attacks. I'm glad we don't spend too much time in Moria. The previous games I've looked at, you spend far too much time in Moria, and it's an area that gets quite dull very quickly. From Moria we skip over to the end of the Fellowship in Amon Hen, one of my personal favourite areas of the game, with an objective that used to stress me out far too much as a child. Here you are tasked with fighting hordes of Uruk-hai with a set number to defeat before they found Frodo. Not sure why I love this area so much, it always reminds me of going for walks and finding old ruins, but instead of Uruk-hai I found, it was fly tipping in old bunkers. The objective here adds a time limit, so you must progress at a pretty brisk pace, so no time to admire the scenery. The Uruk-hai enemies are a step up from the goblins of Moria, taking more damage and throwing you into a bit more of a stun lock if you're not careful. You can heal in the game with these little potions that drop from objects and enemies on occasion. Red gives you a little boost, while green gives you a fuller boost. They can also drop arrow top-ups and sometimes on the rare occasion, XP boost. The Amon Hen area finishes off with a boss fight against the bigwig of the Uruk-hai party, with quite a cinematic battle. The way the camera works here is quite unique compared to the rest of the game, and it gives you a bit more of an epic feel as it zooms in and out. The fight itself again is quite simple. You just need to trick the big idiot to get his sword stuck before unleashing hell on him. While playing through the game you'll be earning different ratings for your combos and kills seen at the bottom left. This gives you a certain amount of XP at the end of the level, as well as an overall rating. XP is used for the obvious reason for leveling up characters and giving them some skill points to spend. Each character has 8 levels of rewards, and you'll have to pick and choose what you want as you progress through the game. You can get different combos here, moves that can help you with specific enemies, power-ups to your bow and sword, and even health upgrades. You can't replay levels with the same character until you finish the story, so you can't just farm up XP. Making sure to pick the right skills you want is pretty important, as the later stages of the game do get quite tough.
Why are you running?
From Amon Hen to another favourite area of mine, we have Fangorn Forest. I love the atmosphere in this place, barely any music here, just the low voices of the trees and the odd glimpse of hiding orcs. The ents themselves are visible on occasion, but it's not made a fuss about, they are just there. My favourite instance of this being through this water section. You can see the reflection of one just watching you as you make your way through the water. Speaking of the water in this game, it is very nicely done. The reflections are great and the characters themselves change animations as they go deeper. Very nice details. A lot of orc fights here with a couple of troll fights that play differently to the boss fight in Moria. These ones can be attacked with a sword attack. I found just timing and spamming the heavy attack was enough to stun lock these big boys. The next few levels take place in Rohan. The first level I struggled with and failed a few times on, requires you to save villagers around the town and they just have 0 survival skills. So it's fully on you to save them. Failure in this game is harsh at times. Sometimes you'll die or fail and you'll be sent back to a checkpoint of sorts. But when there's a main objective like killing X amount of enemies or protecting a gate, you'll have to start all the way back at the beginning of the level. And it's punishing. The levels aren't too long, but it does hurt when you get right to the end of the level only to get clocked in the back of the head by an orc and have to restart the whole level again. It's very maddening. Gandalf does join you at times through the level to flex his new white robe and magic abilities. Once the villagers are saved, your next objective is just to blow up various explosive devices around the town, which is an okay level. A lot of stuff to blow up is always fun. The final Rohan level is a boss fight against the Warg Rider, which again is a pretty simple boss fight once you know what you're doing. Rohan itself looks very good, lots of wooden buildings, farm structures and open fields. Something I like is that Aragorn gets a new look here, just to get a nice bit of detail as you progress through the story. And speaking of the characters themselves, I think everyone looks fine. It can be a bit hit or miss with how certain ones look. Aragorn looks fine, Gimli looks like he's had his face smushed down, and Legolas looks a bit awful. The enemies though, they look great for the time, very well detailed, and all the ones you recognise from the movies are here, with them sounding just as good too. The music is also just a mix of the movie tracks, so if you enjoy the movie soundtrack, which well, who doesn't, you'll enjoy the music here.
I got 2.
There are enough for us both, Gimli.
Take down that ladder before we're overrun!
The final area of the game is Helms Deep. Helms Deep itself is done very well here. It feels chaotic with all the enemies you're fighting, the background sprites dancing away, and the vast amount of friendly NPCs that are doing absolutely nothing to help really sell that you're part of a larger battle. The objectives here are also significantly more stressful than previous levels. The first level is fighting on the wall. You're required to keep the wall from getting overwhelmed, shown by the bar in the top right. You can do this by killing enemies and kicking down the ladders they keep raising. This bar fills up very quickly and it makes it very tense as it keeps reaching its limits. The next level is all about stopping the explosive Orokai from blowing up the gate, which is just an increasingly annoying combination of enemies to fight, with the explosive fellas thrown in there. And the final level of the game is about protecting the final gate. They use a cinematic camera style here from the boss fight from Amon Hen, and it does add more to that chaotic feel. The objective here is quite tough to complete though. I only just managed to do it on my 3rd attempt. Once this mission is done with, that's it. We get a final cutscene showing Gandalf riding in to save the day, and then a bit of a sequel teasing with the release date of Return of the King. 2003. A very long time ago at this point. Once the game is fully complete, you can now go and replay levels with the same character, check out interviews with the actors, or test your might against the secret level. Once you have a character at level 10, you can play the secret level, which is just a tower style fighting through floors and waves of enemies to reach the end. It does get very challenging, but once you've completed it, you unlock the secret character, Isildur. That is the extent of what the game offers though. A good few sets of levels playing through the iconic scenes from the movies with some fun characters, and some tower modes to test your skills as a little endgame activity. Two Towers was a great game then, and even a great one now. It does have its wonky moments that show its age, and the character models at times look a bit dated. But the environments, music, and the levels themselves just create a great time, especially if you're a fan of the movies or the series. It's an iconic game and I feel as though it gets a bit left behind from its much more successful sequel. It's a short, fun game that captures the excitement of Two Towers and its epic battles. It's a very easy game to find if you want to head back into Middle-earth and try it for yourself.